Okay, let's finish up the weird books in this video and get back to some more normal stuff. If this channel were the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the 1970s version, obviously. Not that I hate the other one, but that's the one that has that title. Because the word Charlie, people were sensitive about it in the 70s because it meant the Viet Cong and the Vietnam War had just happened. I read a biography of Roald Dahl that talked about that. Or Roald Dahl, if you want to use the correct Norwegian pronunciation. But if this channel were that movie, this case would be the part where they're going through the tunnel and there's all the terrifying projections up on the wall. Willy Wonka saying a scary poem. All right, let's check them out the last. This is about this wild house in California that this woman who was the widow of the Winchester rifle fortune, built. I took my oldest daughter on this tour when she was a little kid. And, oh wow. Yeah, there's a recent movie called Winchester that was like a horror film. Like, she was doing all these things to appease the spirits of the dead who had been killed by her husband's invention. Yeah, it's a really great tour if you ever get a chance to go see this house. There's staircases that go nowhere. There's windows in the floor sometimes. Just random dead ends and opening. It's also a really cool house. I enjoyed the movie, but it's obviously fictional. Gardens and grounds. There's that window in the floor. Houdini came here. Cool. Glad I have that. Book about the Inland Empire. I have this in part because of the Lynch movie. Part because I am interested in that part of California. It's outside of LA. Mike Davis writes about it in City of Quartz. The Fontana area. Coronado and our Spanish legacy. Oh, it's about Coronado. Those guys from St. John's, by the way, used to live. Coronado died at the age of 42. Well, this book looks nice. That's cool. You know what? Why is this in here, though? This should be with the Southwestern books or even the New Mexico books. Getting moved. Here's a book I own in part because of the amazing title, Secret Life of the Forest. It is about something really cool. Oh my gosh, and the art's incredible. I would actually read this. This is a neat 3-volume set. Where these come from, they're awesome. Oh, that's cool. An illustrated encyclopedia of the supernatural. 1, 2, 3. It's got a good, dense design. Oh, wow. Cosmic Snowflake. This book's pretty wild. Look, this is just the kind of book that when you find it, you're like, what? I'm never going to see this book again. There's no chance I'll ever see a second copy of this book. Judge for yourself. A Treasury of Writing and Speeches by John Judge. The JFK Assassination. The Bush Crime Family. The Murders of Bob Marley, Jessica Savage, and John Lennon. The Hinckley-Bush Connection. UFOs, Jonestown, World Fascism, the Nazi CIA, NCS Connection, the Persian Gulf, and much, much more. From the editors at Prevailing Winds Research. Looks, cleanly formatted. Why shouldn't people be able to get their thoughts out? I bet this book's a wild ride. Mysteries of the Past. This might have been one that was kicking around my family a little bit growing up. A lot of these Reader's Digest books were, I don't like how that binding just fell open. Really, you should always read with 2 hands. I don't think Reader's Digest's place in growing up in the 80s and 90s has really been properly written yet or assessed. That was a company that really influenced a lot of households. They didn't just have their magazines. They had condensed books. They had these special books. This is Reader's Digest. Oh, this is American Heritage and Scribner's. All right, my point stands. Like, here's a Reader's Digest one, and this was definitely around. I remember reading this one a bunch of times. It's like my parents wanted me to be into all this weird stuff. Why did they have all this stuff in our house? I think it's because my mom grew up in Ohio and had a lot of like folk culture in her mindset. This book was annotated by a young child in 2007. By Anodyne in 2007. How old she have been? 2 years old. Now she's a model headlining Denver Fashion Week. Funny. Mysteries of the Youngst. Oh, I bet that's an ectoplasm photo. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. That's beautiful. Oh yeah, I remember being a little 5th grader in my steep-pitched attic room in Colorado reading this book. Reading it all over that house, that cabin. I remember it really got me into the Jersey Devil for a little bit. Read a couple other books on that subject. I think it was the Jersey Devil that was also cited in Silver City. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Oh no, Spring Hill Jack was cited in. Pretty good cover. This book, it was so wild to find this book. I had literally just written up a treatment for a movie that I wanted to write called The Lightning Far Away. And this was like this last year, June, when I was at this summer camp that I was working at. And I wanted to make this movie just with my phone, using all the people that worked there playing versions of themselves. And the basic premise would be that we'd see every character introduced, we'd see them in their world a little bit, and then they would just disappear. And one by one, all these workers stuck at this isolated camp when the roads are all cut off are just disappearing mysteriously. But everyone's kind of trying to deal with it stoically, and it was going to be just like this really mysterious, awesome thing. I love the premise, one by one, until there's only no one or no one left. I wanted to call it The Lightning Far Away out of a line from this old cowboy lullaby we would always sing around the fires. The lightning's far away. And we always would see this faraway lightning on the horizon. And I had this great like Lynchian treatment written up for it. I'm going to finish it. If I go back for multiple years, I'll finish the footage. I have about 20 minutes of footage probably that I could probably get about an act out of what I filmed from everybody. But things ended up getting really busy, and then we didn't have a lot of time. But I made up posters for it. Logline, Disappear With Us. And I've still got all that footage and a bunch of posters I made up and that treatment I wrote up. The treatment was basically like a screenplay, but no dialogue. I don't want anyone to have to memorize any dialogue. So it would just say, like, someone says something here about this. I like that Italian neorealism precept that everyone is born to play one great role, and that role is themselves. I feel like you can really use that in film. Anyway, so I had a day off, and I went to the thrift store in Gallup while I was working at that camp, and I was thinking only about that. And one of the only books I found at the thrift store that appealed to me that I wanted to get at all, and which I saw almost right away when I first got to this thrift store, which, as far as I could tell, was the only bookstore in town that I could find. There was one closed bookstore. Wait, no, the closed one was in Grants. But so I found this Goodwill thrift store in Gallup, New Mexico, northwest New Mexico. And this is one of the only books they had that I wanted. And it's on vanishings. It's on mysterious vanishings. I'll tell you, when you get it in open mode, it just seems like everything you need to write and make something comes at you. This will be great for giving that story a context, connecting it to presidents, and just getting me thinking. Some great classic vanishing stories. I remember listening to one on the Art Bell show, and it was a guy, and he leaves his house, and he's walking on the walk, and before he gets to the street, everyone just sees him blink out. He's just gone forever. I'm like, oh, I wish this was a better substantiated story. I want that to be true. That's just incredible. What happened? So there's a scientifically documented site in Africa where millions of years ago, sometime in nature, I think it was millions, an atom just naturally split. And you can tell from the rocks all around that there was a nuclear reaction there. I mean, we caused atomic bombs by, their blast by splitting open atoms. And that just had happened at one point in nature. So why couldn't something weird happen? Why couldn't just all the right, elements of energy and mass line up in whatever code for somebody to just blink out or switch wavelengths? Suddenly they're in the universe where everyone's a cat and they have tiny little humans. Ephemeral, that's a good word. I like stuff like this. I always wanted to have books like this around for my kids to grow up around. Not just these, but like science books. I've got a whole accidental set here of nonfiction weird fact books for young people. And, oh, that's a good one. I don't think my kids ever picked any of these up even once. These iPad kids are just not a browsing generation in that way. These were in the wrong case. But I kind of like the little weird books section, It's good. You don't just want a party of all of the normal kids hanging out. You gotta invite the far out kids too. At least one. Literary paperback fiction case, I love you, but you're kind of from the normie crowd. Come on, get real. Yeah, you're wearing tan pants and a Gap shirt also. But you, whoa, you have 3 ear piercings on one side. That's so crazy. Yeah. Well, I guess I'd be curious to hear, what are other people's weird books? Do people have weird books generally? Do people have books that they don't want to display, or like, like, people don't need to know I have those. Like, I think I mentioned getting rid of a book called The Gentle Swastika once that was about pre-Nazi use of the swastika image. It's just like, I don't know. People were always just like, why do you have this? It was a strange book. I let it go during the purge. I really got rid of some major stuff. I had so many more Roswell books and official Air Force Roswell books, like this giant Roswell book. And I had channeled, or like divinely revealed scripture from the FLDS and from really weird, like fringe little side Mormon sects. Yeah, I was merciless during that book getting rid of purge. Movie magic, because that took a lot of time. The new home of those 2 books. These are large-sized nonfiction books. We can look at these soon. I want to look at the antique books soon, too. That'd be cool. Hi, Squirrel. Not quite happy with Squirrel since she tested boundaries by peeing on the bed. She does these things just out of vengeance. She's very spiteful. Right after she had asked to go outside, and I'm like, it's a new place. You don't know this place. If you do that at all, it'll be later after you're comfortable here. And have your scent on it, etc. She went right to the bed. So the bed has no sheet on it right now. In this room, we've looked at the large-sized fiction case, including those dictionaries, and here they got their own video. We've looked at the individual author's case, and I think I've done a couple currently reading videos. Looked at the nonfiction paperback case in this room. Nonfiction paperbacks. The overflow from that section. We looked at the writing books. I found my people during those videos. And in the beginning, we looked at these memoir shelves, but I didn't look at them book by book because I really just didn't know how I was going to be doing these videos. So I might go through and look at the ones I missed again in one of the next videos before I move on to the other rooms. Though we have looked at some of the books from some of those cases that were connected to some of these, like Lit Crit and Single Author. And there's 3 cases of Lit Crit, and maybe same here. I should just glance at these again, because it wasn't until we moved to those shelves out in the living room that I started having to take things off the shelf and look at them one by one, and then I was like, this is better. Give a chance to look at everything, see what's here. This is a survey of sorts for me as well as any viewers there might be. Probably mostly for me. Also in this room is the literary paperback case, but I'm going to save this one for literally last. I'm going to leave it out of this room even before we move on because it's still evolving and so on. And I feel like we're kind of leading up to it since it's the spine of that paperback project where I'm reading all these books over 4 or 5 years. If I wanted to, I could do these creepy closet personal books, yearbooks and journals and all that stuff. Writings. Yeah, I think I'll do the memoir titles I missed next video, and then art crit titles I missed after that. Just one video for each of these subjects, ideally. Fridge cat. Fridge kitty. It would be fun to kind of get into the antique books after that. I'm thinking about it. We'll see. There's also sci-fi and science, nonfiction, Baby Squirrel. We already looked at Single Author and Crit. But this will be my next channel killer, New Mexico books. New Mexico books. Oh no. I guess there's a small pile of kitchen books, but Prismo guards them pretty well. It's just the coolest thing I own. Anyway, weird books. There's definitely some Roswell related books I want to get again, and I'm like, I should have that in my collection. One is this great anthropological accounting of how the story came to be. One is Carl Flock's book, Roswell, Inconvenient Facts and the Will to Believe. It's the most compelling document about what actually happened, and it means the most because it comes from a former believer who got to a place of skepticism by steps and just genuine good research. Oh, I want Salvation on Sand Mountain, that snake handling church book. Why don't I have that? Also, I'll never say no to a mass market, beautiful paperback, ephemeral object. Definitely let some good ones go. But as I don't remember them, they must not have been so great. I do hope I didn't get rid of all my Jan Harald Brunvand urban legend books, though I used to have almost all of them. There's a lot. I feel like I only kept 1 or 2, though. Oh well. Urban legends were a real kick for me. I like every kind of story, every kind of writing. I'm interested in all of it. And folk culture and tradition and urban legends and all that stuff are super interesting. All right, time to go pick my daughter up from dance. Hope you're all doing great. Thanks for watching. We're done with the weird books. The Willy Wonka boat tour part is over. Now it's on to safe other parts of the factory. Nothing bad will happen. All right, take care, everybody. This channel might be interesting, I think, as it goes on. I feel like when you go past natural stopping points, interesting things happen. It's going to happen when I don't have the shelf review every day of the channel. I'll have to find something else to say. It'll be like the real world. Things will start getting real. Stop being polite and start getting real. Watch out. I don't love how much of my life this case revealed to everybody. Oh, Mike lost a job as a columnist because he was part of a fake satanic cult prank. And he wrote something about it later where he didn't disclose to the people he was interviewing that he had been part of the prank. Or, oh, Mike hung out with a bunch of pagans at a college in the middle of the desert, and they were super weird and did rituals. One of them stalked him. Or all that stuff with Tuella, the Chandler, having my P.O. box as a kid. I'm like, what kind of a life have I had? Maybe that's all of us if you start peeling away, but sometimes I'm like, there's just too many weird details to existence. Like, when I was a kid growing up, one of my parents' good friends was this guy who played the puccolo. He was just really good at whistling, but he called it a puccolo, and he had albums and like played concert halls and stuff. Too zany. It's like living in a Tom Robbins novel. Cut it out, people. It's not the tone I'm looking for in my life. That said, life contains a lot of weirdness. All right, my battery's low. I gotta go pick up my kid. Take care, everybody. Weird Books out.